Thank you all for being here. Really appreciate it. This is incredible just to see the turnout for Vancouver Day. And yeah, just really excited for a full day program. Make sure you guys check out the activations outside. There will be a bunch of VR, AR arts and digital activations going on. So please do check that out. So I'm going to introduce my fellow panelists here. We'll start with Danny. Do you want to just give Cole's notes of what you're up to?
Yeah, sure. First time to Southwest. I'm an orthopedic surgeon as well as CEO and founder at Precision OS. The challenge we're addressing is we're trying to reduce medical complications that happen around the world with accessible simulation and mentorship. And we're based in Vancouver.
Hi, everyone. I'm happy to be here. My name is Linda Schucroft. I'm the Director of Innovation at the Vancouver Airport Authority, or YVR as you may know it. You're probably wondering what a person from an airport is doing here talking about the Metaverse, but we'll get into it shortly. But we did launch our own Metaverse, also known as the digital twin. So I'll talk a little bit about that and how we're applying it in the airport space.
Hi everyone, my name's Debi Wong and I'm the founding artistic director of Renaissance Opera, and we are all about reimagining the future of storytelling by bridging the gap between creative and emerging technologies and live performing artists.
Amazing. Danny, can you tell me a bit about why Vancouver and why ecosystem is so important and why Vancouver has become a global leader because of the visual effects, video games, and film industries that really help spur that. So can you kind of tap into that a little bit?
Yeah, so for what we're doing, we needed diversity in thought to accomplish what we're doing today. And so it was a random meeting between two developers and a surgeon myself, where that whole ecosystem was there without me actually knowing it. So I was sort of standing on the other side of the fence. And as soon as we looked over the fence, you tap into this massive market of people and talent who have been developing AAA quality products for 25 years in Vancouver. And so that collection and that intersection of two different groups, medicine and tech, has allowed us to build what we're doing today and have the impact that we're having.
And Linda, can you kind of uncover a little bit of the talent base that's here and why you decided to really lean into innovation in Vancouver?
Yeah, so our story is quite unique. For those who don't know, we actually had an innovation team starting in 2014. So airports aren't typically known to be forward-thinking or changing. And part of that is not a lot of my colleagues' faults, but we're in a heavily regulated environment, right? We work with multiple stakeholders and multiple regulators. So it is quite challenging to be different and trying to push the bar with a lot of the things that we do. But we started a team back in 2014, and we started solving a lot of our really big problems. And with that, we actually fell into the commercialization space. So while we were developing solutions with our own in-house development team, and one of the cool facts that most people don't know, we're still one of the only airports in the world that have our own in-house software development team. And because of that setup, we're able to trial things and do things and fail fast, and really, I guess, grow from the talent pool that we have in Vancouver. So it's been pretty instrumental with a lot of the big techs that have come out and started offices there, that we have a lot of great resources that we can pull from and also form strategic partnerships with.
And Debi, can you talk about the creative industries and how important this intersection with innovation is to kind of spur new ideas?
Yeah, it was about 5 or 6 years ago that I started realizing how many game developers we had in Vancouver. I don't know why I didn't realize this before, but as someone coming from a performing arts background, the whole tech industry was always so daunting in a way and so intimidating, and I feel like I don't know anything, and how can I possibly get to know these people? But finally moving into that space and finding out how collaborative the whole sector is and how interested people are in engaging with the performing arts, especially the live performing arts from the tech sector, was a really great development 5 years ago. And now having access to such a huge pool of talent, and especially open-minded people who are really interested in taking artistic risks with our performing artists, has been such an amazing space to be in.
Amazing. Linda, can you kind of untap a little bit about your digital twin project. And from what I've heard, you guys are one of 5 airports in the world to deploy digital twins of your airport. So can you kind of dive into that and some of the problems that you're solving with that digital twin?
One of the reasons we did that, because we don't do things just to trial emerging technology, we do it when there's massive problems and issues that we think we can solve with it. And one of the things we wanted to do was to actually take all of the data. So as you can imagine, we are just enriched with data, but they come from so many different sources. So we're able to then take our data hub and visualize it. So we actually support both a 2D and a 3D model of the digital twin. And what that is, it's really, I don't even like using the word digital twin, because really what it's become is our digital platform at the Vancouver Airport Authority. And some of the first, so I think within the last kind of 18 months, we've built about 50 or 60 use cases on our twin. And what we've done with that, some of the key operational challenges we've formed with that is it's become an operational situational awareness tool. So what we did right away is it has really changed the way a lot of our teams have worked. We've now also deployed it on all of their phones. So every single person in our organization, we have 600 people directly working at the Vancouver Airport Authority, they have access to this twin. So they're able to, get real data and information about flights coming, problems that are going on in the airport. Our maintenance team, we have the largest building in British Columbia. We have over 4,000 rooms. They're able to know where those rooms are and go and attend to something right away. But forward, looking out into our roadmap, what we want to do is actually turn it more into a virtual simulation model, right? So flights coming in and going, how are they landing, which gates work for which flights. We're able to then optimize our airspace and our gates and make better decisions. And we did this all with the help of Unity, so I have to give them a shout out. Unity is one of the biggest gaming platforms in the world. They have a pretty big presence in Vancouver. So they were the partner that we chose. And again, it was more of this physical stuff. You could do things virtually through Teams and Zoom and everything that there is. But we actually really liked bringing them in and doing a co-development model with our in-house development team, upskilling our team to understand how to develop on a gaming platform with the help of Unity.
And Danny, so I'm going to ask you a personal question. So you are a surgeon by day and basically CEO by day as well and night. How are you able to kind of work with that, and how are you able to kind of look at scratching your own itch with virtual reality and the metaverse?
Yeah, so it's a big question. I rely a lot on the team. So this is not something that you can do as an individual. You have to have a big team in place to help achieve those goals. And strategically speaking, healthcare is extremely challenged to penetrate. I mean, I just came from a big orthopedic meeting. No one's ever heard of this meeting, if you can believe it, South by Southwest. And that's because tech and medicine, there's a lot of innovation happening in medicine, but it's never been they've never addressed a problem annoying enough for someone to say, I'm going to spend the money, I'm going to implement the solution, and then I'm going to use it. So part of the reason to stay in medicine for me is I'm close to the problem, and it's helping us navigate our solution to the point now where our software is being used in over 60 training programs around the world and has been used in over almost 200 cities. And so we want to make that impact, but that relies on me being close to the problem and then educating our entire team about how we develop, what we develop, and why it's relevant. And so it drives the culture of our company as well.
Speaking of culture, Debi, are you able to kind of uncover a little bit about the Vancouver culture and why community building is so important, especially in these new realms of technology?
Yeah, I think somebody else earlier today was talking about the uniqueness of Vancouver, and I think it's because we have such a diversity of lived experiences, diversity of cultures that are always in dialogue about how to build better communities together and how to look at those interconnected futures together. And that paired with this like burgeoning tech scene that we have here allows us or empowers all of us to be futurists in a way. And our role as performing artists or as artists is, apologies to people who heard me talk about this yesterday, but is to be like that R&D department of humanity and to use the arts and leverage everything that we have in the arts and in the tech sector to think about and blueprint what our future communities could look like. And I think that's what's so exciting about the Vancouver scene, is to be able to do that with these people and these futurists.
Amazing. Linda, can you tap into a little bit about the importance of making sure that we do create human experiences with technology, and making sure that we educate folks on this new wave of technology, essentially?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, because one of the fundamental philosophies I'd say we believe in at Vancouver Airport is technology is technology, right? But if people aren't adopting and we're not bringing people along for it, it's useless. So I've gone to many airports all over the world looking at some of the technology, and there are pieces there that people don't look at, they walk right past. So we are very deliberate on the projects that we work on, and we're also deliberate about the timing. So sometimes people aren't ready to get into the metaverse and play with it and explore and shop and dine and do everything that they can do with it, right? So we are all about, building out roadmaps that actually bring people along for the journey. So our metaverse right now is for our internal employees and stakeholders. Eventually, in the next 6-7 months, we're working on a platform that will be engagement with the public, so with all of our passengers. But again, doing that in piecemeal, right? So giving them just information about YVR, and then helping you with all your wayfinding at YVR, and then eventually a marketplace component of it. But I think adoption is key, because we can all put out technology throughout the day with amazing partners and the startups that we have in Vancouver. But if no one's using it and it's not, enhancing their day-to-day job or life, there's no point in it.
Danny, what are you seeing in the healthcare system? So, you're integrating new technology, virtual reality, and you're putting that on surgeons' heads. And are you seeing that they're getting that tactical feedback, they're learning, they're integrating this into their daily practice?
It's a really good question, and a common one we get all the time. And VR in this space is not meant to replace anything. It's meant to augment the experience for the surgeon. So people will continue to read, watch videos, practice on simulators, and practice on cadavers. But remember, those last two things, which we consider the gold standard, are actually not available to the majority of the world. So they're actually watching a video and then practicing in the operating room. And so this is where the technology actually, from a global perspective, can have massive impact. If we just look at the US, there's 50 million complications that happen every year. And we know that complications happen from surgeons or physicians that don't have a lot of experience. And wouldn't you know it, the tide that's coming, the new trainees that are graduating now are not able to operate independently after 5 years of residency training. So there's this massive problem that's been in existence for a long time, and there hasn't really been an accessible solution. And this is where VR, I think, helps to augment them so they can actually then practice before they go to the OR, because that 50 million complication is actually costing $1 trillion a year. So there is this massive impact, both financially, but importantly, for a patient who thinks when they go to a healthcare provider, they're going to get the best care. It doesn't matter if you're in Austin, Vancouver, or in Zimbabwe. They never think the contrary.
Debi, with what you're doing with the festivals and operas and different live performances, why VR?
Well, we use all different, so it's not just VR, but VR, AR, all of the XR things, and so the whole thing. And I think it's about creating new access points for people and amplifying the way that we tell stories. And I kind of think about it in reverse, in that I have access to all of these amazing performing artists. We have this pool of amazing emerging technology and creative technology that's coming out. How do we empower those artists to shape those tools, and how do we get them in early so that they are these tools that we have are being modified and used in a way where it's like human and arts first. So I sort of why VR, because it's an emerging tool, and I want my artists to be there first to be able to turn it into something that really does amplify their own storytelling and reach a broader audience.
Linda, we have a huge contingent of global leaders in the House right now, and what kind of advice can you give to other ecosystems to help grow their VR, AR, and Metaverse communities?
Well, yeah, I think it's about thinking through the use cases, right, of how you can use it within your own industry or within the companies that you're working through. One of the things, like, yeah, do you need VR? Is it essential? Should we invest in it because it is an investment? And it also goes back to your strategic objectives and the goals of your company. So YVR a few years ago had an ambitious goal that they announced. We're the only first airport in the world to announce it, where we want to hit net zero by 2030. And one of our team, and I have to give a shout out to Carrie Phoenix, she's one of the managers on our innovation team, but she's been carrying a massive project which we think is not going to have just an impact within Vancouver and Canadian airports, but also globally. One of the things that we're doing using VR is actually calculating GHG in our airside runways and taxiways and things like that. So it's very shocking to people to know that airports right now, we don't have a way of actually calculating GHG. It's all just estimations, and we find that the difference is quite material. So our team, because of our digital twin platform, has been building out a model to actually calculate a lot of the GHG that's coming out of each and every aircraft, whether they're taking off, landing, or taxiing around there. And that just becomes a module that we can plug into our digital twin platform. And eventually, obviously, because it will solve and help advance our goals, and we can sit with our airline partners and talk to them about their behaviors when they're landing planes and keeping planes idle, and showing them through VR on the model what that looks like, right? And if you were to do this and this and this, here's the GHG that you're going to be cutting down on, and here's your overall footprint at YVR. So I think finding ways of using it in a meaningful way, and maybe that's not right now, it could be a timing thing as well. I think you'll find the right time in terms of investing into it, but I do think it's a critical tool that'll help a lot of people change their behaviors.
So we only have 3 minutes, so I'm going to end this off with the question to all of the panelists. And where do you guys see the VR, AR, Metaverse ecosystem going in the next 5 years? I'll start with you, Danny.
So one of the things that all VR, AR companies are dealing with is a hardware maturity adoption curve. So I think as the big companies continue to evolve in that space, all the companies that are here that are innovating in that space will effectively become software providers because more people will have access. So in the next 5 years, that's where I see things going, similar trend to what happened with the iPhone, the iPad, and cell phones.
Linda?
Yeah, I would just add to that. I think, a lot of the things that we need to accomplish in the next 5 years, we can't do that alone. So, our innovation hub at YVR, we have right now 12 active strategic partners that we're working on, right? So Rogers as an example for how do we create a network, how do we look at edge computing to handle a lot of the stuff that's coming forward. So I think just strategic partnerships and continuing to do a lot of trials to see how we can use this technology and improve everyone's experience.
Debi?
I think this is a hope, or maybe also looking forward, but I'm hoping to see I'm hoping this trend of democratizing the tech space is going to continue to flourish, and I think the arts have a big part in that, and especially this hardware issue. We all face it, but I think the artists that I witness using these hardwares in innovative ways is a way to find new pathways forward. So that's what I'm hoping to see more of too.
Amazing. Thank you so much, and thank you guys all for being here, and really excited about what you guys are building. You guys are setting the standard around the world of how VR and AR and the Metaverse can solve problems and really be a practical utility, be used for utility, and really look at how can we change the world. So thank you so much.
Thank you.